it ends, it ends. You know, I just do a show now and I do sports. I did. Someone else sees to run this.
When I use Tom's car, it's almost always the station that
Yeah.
my turn is right.
Yeah.
I mean, Warren was his outside.
There was a second revision to the restrooms.
Okay, so, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, right there.
That's,
Yeah, I think
This is probably
Wait till
And that's never gonna happen. Dave kind of feels that way too. I'm like, Dave, you can't. Who's gonna run this when you're 70 years old? Someone's gotta think this. And that's
Rosa,
not-
you're the
there's not a
co-chair,
this
so
movie's just gonna jump in and
John's running late. So
you know, because Roger left, but it was like.
whenever you're ready, we're ready.
We're ready. Good evening, everybody. We are going to start the meeting. Our chairman is going to be a little late, so I'm going to take over. Roll call.
Haderlein,
Here.
Lancaster,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Here. Is there any public comments? Oh, for items not in the agenda? No? Okay, if there isn't any public comments, I'll keep going. So number 3, public hearing concept plan for Milky Way Park.
Right, so for this, you need to open the hearing and then take a roll call for the hearing.
Okay, I'm opening the hearing. And let's
You
take a
need
roll.
to take a roll call for the hearing.
Haderlein,
Here.
Lavallee, Lancaster,
Here.
Saucedo, Logan,
Here.
Here. We have a quorum.
So then you could now open the floor and recognize members of the audience who wish to make a comment concerning the plan.
Yeah.
Well, the way they have the agenda written is discussion, or so public hearing, so hearing comments from the public, and then once the hearing is closed, then it goes into a discussion amongst board members. So you could have your presentation first, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sure. Sorry, I'm not running the meeting, the chairperson is, or I should say co-chair, so,
he's mentoring today.
yes.
Okay, so we are going to have the discussion. If you can go up to the podium and state your name and address.
We get it on the screen, Mayor?
Yep. Sure.
Uh, 2022. Yes.
Difference with this one and the previous one, look at the big picture. One in 2022 actually looked at that center area there. Backing up just a little bit. This one has its own, variety of soccer. They all have to work together on try that, both to address their sport and then to address grandparents. There's also other aspects to design that sort of enter in that we don't really, let's call them a third party. One of the things that Gary discussing with the design process here is the more improvements we make, the more the county will save land, the more disturbance you do, the more compensation for stormwater detention. You've got to start balancing it out, because the more holes you dig to hold stormwater, the less room you have to put in soccer. Parking lot, bigger parking lot, bigger. And then you have things like ADA. Grant we're going for, very, very concerned with respect to the ADA requirements. So the paths have to have a certain grant. It has sure what happens. Now, now, bring that back down. Right now, that
have a question about the walking path ending where it is. Why wouldn't we take that all the way to the road? We have,
We would.
Yeah.
To the east there?
yes, correct.
Yeah, I think we would. It's just a matter of figuring out the engineering aspect. The black lines?
Yeah, right, that's
That's our right of way.
correct.
So it's a matter of drainage. I don't know how that works.
I think that's pretty flat land right there, but yeah.
I know immediately of that parking lot there, size 105, the restroom. There's a ditch that runs right across the face of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've just got to blend the tendency is with, the street looks a little offset from the right of way. And it might be better to cross the street and then go east. But, I mean, we're looking at this at high level here.
Right.
Kind of the actual survey and the grading and the engineering. So yes, I would rather to go along the south side, but there are also mature trees there. It looks like the easier solution would be to cross somewhere in there, where there's doing the cursor.
Yeah.
And run it east that way. But I don't really crossing cars.
It's not an active road. Also the first level for soccer field on the left has a bunch of trees. Are those scrub trees or those trees of value?
The furthest one to the east.
Correct, to the west.
West, yeah, those are,
Those are all junk? Okay,
yeah,
that's
so
right.
was the ones,
Because we just became a tree city, USA, and I don't want to take out trees that have value.
no. I don't know how much you know about, well, Pittsburgh, who I was just joking about earlier, or away from my office, he's on the board of Morton Outreach.
Yeah, and the Conservation Foundation, yes.
And the Max Carl Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the founding member of Chicago Voters. And yeah, so whenever I take down trees, I hear about it.
So, along with that, and that was one of the concerns early on, is for every tree that, being a Tree City USA, for every tree we pull out, we're supposed to replace them. If you notice along the baseball fields, we have all this open area here.
Yeah.
That also lends for more Arbor Day celebrations where we can replace those trees down here. Plus, we're adding trees up to the north there.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of those
trying to
green
balance
dots
it
are
out.
new trees.
Right.
These are all new.
Thank you.
Well, and I just want to point out that, when we look at the subdivision, the houses to the east, there's no sidewalks in that neighborhood, so, I mean, the path is going to erode. Yeah.
However, it's not only a pedestrian. Like, county.
Yeah.
So you can.
Yeah.
On the street.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm only charged. Very good.
So some other things too is that we have the dirt pile here that would get removed. Again, you have some space here to be able to put up, what you have to remove.
Yeah.
But you also have space down here to put more shade trees, something to break up the wind flow a bit, and then
One of those boys kicking.
And then one of the other nicer things about this concept right now is that the football field will also have, one of the problems we've had with where everything's situated within the park is infrastructure. Where the lighting is, where the sewer lines and so on. So you note here that we want to go ahead and, through this planning, get everything ready so that down the road, when we're ready, we can put up night lights. Be able to have either soccer, adult soccer, or football at night.
There's a power line comes in, right, yeah, right through there, and it runs on a diagonal.
It comes in here, and then goes underground to here, and then it's aerial along here, and then it actually another run runs from there up to this main box.
So the idea is just to make like the power lines more connection points so that we can, down the road, add more features if need be, if the demand is there. But we're not limited. So it's looking down the road of like using this money through either this current OSLAD application or future OSLAD applications to make ready for down the road.
In that regard, power line, water line, sewer line, all big contracts. How long is the run? So those locations, sort of back in my mind, you know, the shortest distance. The restroom is close to the parking lot. We also have a water line.
And sewer.
And so, and it's also more visible from the park. It's not like abstractly. Thoughts.
So, and then things to keep in mind, both for the committee and the public, is that it's difficult to get an OSLAD grant for development 3 years in a row. So what you would do is while this construction is getting ready, you're essentially taking a one summer breather and then preparing for phase two. Phase two, whatever we can cover with phase one, which is what we're more or less talking about, we already can make the pitch for what phase two would be. And in the end, this is what not this particular one, it's whatever the final plan ends up being. But they already know every time this is what our end goal will be.
All right, they will assess you on it. They assessed you on the fact that your acquisition, sort of like, we, this space, buying, yeah, they did that.
So what was the land that we bought?
So I believe it was this section.
Correct.
That you bought with the 2010 OSLAD. And then again, for what's kind of down the road, hopefully, is when this south end is done, is to turn around and do the north end, so then all of Milky Way Park is done. So that would be potentially doing like a bandstand or a band shell in this open area here.
Further north.
To the, which is something that then with our future Parks and Rec superintendent can help plan more like nights in the park. Just so you know, she's in the back corner.
Oh, okay.
She's here.
Yeah, you could do more programming. You know, I always like to think parks are unique in the fact that their location, their friends, has a shared experience. They're very important. Probably met friends that you know today on the Little League. That even parents make relationships. Standing in the sidelines watching soccer. That part.
So hypothetically, if this plan was to be the final plan, and as we mentioned before, this would be prairie restoration or pollinators. There are grant applications out there that we had to take a pass this year, only because we're not doing any construction. But by knowing this is where it's going to be, we have it roped off. We know not to cross into that area, not to do anything, not to plant anything, because then the mayor's Monarch Pledge people that can apply for the grants to go ahead and pay to do the pollinators. And then let's say hypothetically we're out here already. We know in this area, don't do anything. And wait for that grant application.
So what are we doing currently in that area that we acquired in 2010?
Right now, it is just empty field that the
They play soccer.
youth soccer, they kind of put a soccer field where they can. And I believe Bob, right? Who was the Parks and Rec director back when that application was done, was discussing the idea with these trees was to make it more of a picnic area. So, and I don't believe it's ever ended up that way. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bob.
I think if you look here, you can see where their soccer fields are.
Who was saying about the grant application? Because it's a process. apply in August. Closing date is 1st of September for the application. That all goes down to Springfield. It's reviewed by the grant assessment people, and then they make a recommendation. If you get a positive recommendation, now we're talking December, January. Back in December. You're invited to come down to Springfield. 3 minutes before. Well, you're among 20 or 30 other communities. But now you're already into February, March. Then the award is to get the announced by our governor. So that's usually done at a time that's advantageous. Yeah. So that could push you into April, May, June of 25. Then we get notice to proceed, right? Successful. But then we have to go through construction documents. Obviously, we can't jump already to it. Process, permitting, that. But now you're not beginning in spring of 26. Then the actual construction probably finish up in the fall. That's just for your first application for. You're now 2 years removed from the point.
But so while that's already happening, you could, in theory, in 2026, while construction is happening, go ahead and apply for the next one.
Right.
And then the other thing to point out, and the one correction I will make is Doug and I just kind of came up with just a basic plan that many of you saw in the paper. And then these refinements might look a little different. It's because I took the opportunity to go to several of the local organizations that use the park or potentially use the park to get their feedback. And that's where some of these corrections were made. Like original, if you recall back in the newspaper, you saw the parking lot was actually over here. But that didn't make much sense, and I'm glad that the football league, youth football, pointed that out because you've got a concession stand here and then a football field here, and then you want people to walk across the parking lot. So that's where the suggestion was to move it over here, and that actually opened up all this as well. And actually made parking a little easier for people that want to go play here. So that's where your feedback is very important because we're not the smartest people in the room by far. The other thing is originally we weren't talking about doing like a tournament level baseball field, but we have regional tournaments. By having this available, now we can start trying to hook up with the other leagues outside of the city to bring people here and use our park for tournaments.
Hey Lou, the all the way over, I'll show you everyone. Right here, there's actually sidewalk right here. This is sidewalk going that way.
Okay.
And there's sidewalk coming in here, right up there too. There's sidewalk.
So part of this plan is to clean up, because one of the issues we've been going through for the last 30 years, since all of Milky Way was acquired back in '94, was all of this parking. And so some of this will at least start to take care of the parking. The idea, just in the crazy talks that we've had, is when we go to do the north side, we'll be able to close in the north side of it. Hopefully have a nice new parking lot that runs from east to west all the way across, versus the minefield it sometimes ends up being.
So do we want to hear comments, questions from the community?
Please.
If you would like to address the committee, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and your comments or questions.
Or concerns.
Can we take that down? Yeah, thank you.
Sandra Alvo, we live on 404 West Thompson. We're coaches for soccer here. My one concern is there a possibility for speed bumps to be added onto that? We're always having problems with
please come up to the microphone. And state your name. Thank you.
Yeah, right here, where is the prior restoration or restroom?
Right.
All along those,
So you're talking about right up here?
yes. Yeah, we have tons of problems with people speeding, when there's soccer games.
When we literally,
Or
once soccer
just
games are over.
any day, any afternoon, summer, there's tons of speeding there. I don't know, we can add maybe one speed bump after the curb. And
Yeah, and that's something Doug here can take down and figure it out. Thank you. Oh,
I have one other concern is, I know we do have a time capsule, like, old flagpole, is that
Yeah.
just all gonna stay where is that now?
It could, right now, that whole area is settled.
Yeah,
Puddle
yeah,
water
it's
sitting in the ground.
sinking in, yeah.
I would rather move it to a new
Where the new
location.
flag-
Yeah. Training,
that's sinking in.
yes. Oh, yeah.
so one of the things, oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Another thing is, like, in those days, you know how we put the big, generator lights? Are we gonna put lights on the way of the path? Connect the whole path?
Pedestrian lights for
Yes.
security, that's something to consider.
Like, I know in, what is that, firefighter house?
Very,
Yeah, they have cameras. I get camera where the entrance to the park, the Milky Way Park, the restaurant area, maybe. That's another.
So on that, I can speak. Well, right now, the council is going to be talking with a potential third party coming in to put in new fiber lines. And one of the things that they agreed to do was to run a line all the way out to each of the city parks. So the idea is, as far as security cameras, is we can hook up better security cameras and then offer free Wi-Fi in the parks. So that's something that's separate from this, but it's something that this, many of these members of the committee will be talking about in about 2 weeks, or in about a week.
Hey, Willie, hold on. That mic's not working. Charlie told me he's not hearing anything from that mic.
Is it turned on? There it is.
Hello. Hi, my name is William Perez, longtime resident here of Harvard. Totally for this. I think this is the best idea Harvard has brought forth in a long time. There was once talk about a little league, minor league park here that went nowhere, right across from Milky Way Park. I hope this has better success. A recommendation I have, because I haven't heard anybody say anything about it, is there going to be some kind of on-site office for managing the parks and the field? And is there going to be some garage set up for the additional equipment that's going to be needed to maintain these places?
That hasn't been figured out yet, but that's a good suggestion.
Good luck. I hope this goes somewhere.
Thank you for that.
Bob Burkhardt, I'm with 901 Lincoln in Harvard. I also represent Harvard Junior Tackle. Yes, we do love the move of the parking lot away from the field. The only concern I that was just thinking about, we have 4 football teams. Obviously, the one field's plenty because we do schedule them, but practice in the fall. those 3 small soccer fields, which I have no problem with, but we've got 4 teams practicing. I don't, if you're going to have soccer there at the same time football, we're going to have a conflict. Right now, would be the northeast softball field is where that retention pond is now, is where the 6, 7, and 8-year-olds practice. So obviously they're going to have to move over to the other side. Obviously they can't practice in that area. There is a football field there. It's a small field meant for more, it's designed for a flag field. We used to have flag football, which we're hoping to bring back, which they can play on a regular field. So that's not it. I guess the only concern would be the fall soccer and fall football at the same time. Scheduling.
So one of the first concepts, Mayor, can you scroll up a little bit? Was to actually put 2 side-by-side football fields up here. And that honestly could probably be just a practice field, at least for the time being. And then you have the main game.
Right. Okay.
So that's a possible solution.
Yeah, we just don't want our cheerleaders practice on the north side. There's 125 of them, as Mayor can attest to. There's more cheerleaders than football players. So we kind of try to keep them in that same areas because we do have parents on both the players and cheerleading side. So as long as we can work that out, that'd be fine.
Something that Doug could look into.
Bob, the IHSA just approved flag football for the girls
Right.
last year, so.
I know we've already
Possible.
been approached about bringing back our flag football. It was dual. Could have been girls or boys. So I know it's going to continue to grow.
Good evening, Matthew Creviston, 801 Hayes Street, North Hayes Street. Kind of to piggyback off of Willie first, not only where are we going to put the equipment is who's going to maintain it.
Oh, I thought there was more to that question. I'm sorry.
That's the beginning.
Well, so one of the things that we're doing as far as inside the city is we're actually breaking up we're designating certain factions of certain activities within the Parks and Rec department to certain personnel. So like Daryl has his own crew that does the maintenance. And so that will continue. So it's not relying on any one person, but a team of people to work.
So it'll actually be taken care of like a sports complex, not just mowing an open field, is the goal.
Yes, eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now, most of this is just dirt work, so it would be just really mowing.
There, a lot more goes into taking care of fields than mowing and.
Yeah.
Develop fields, we have to support the community for the we have to step up quality to the church.
So likely, the sporting organizations that are utilizing these fields would see an increase in fees to maintain the
Okay.
fields.
Perfect.
Within reason.
Of course. And second, I know we can preach scheduling with these football field and the 3 soccer fields and the baseball fields. But when it's not an organization that's taking place and it's just people playing and you have softballs, whether it's a hardball or a softball, and you have little kids in the area, I kind of feel that that's a problem. So whether it's people there just for fun and there's soccer going on, I think that's something that we probably need to, either it's got to be a bigger fence, a net, whatever it is, to make sure that no one's taking a baseball to the head.
If you recall, when we talked was to try to have, with our new Parks and Rec superintendent, some better organization, a better communication with all the different groups to make sure that one group isn't interfering with another one, so it's a better coordinated. So that
Right,
would
but I also
go
mean the
independent.
people just using the park, whether, junior Hornets are there playing soccer, junior tackles there, we're not there at the same time, but you also have people members of the community just coming out to,
Pickup games.
Yeah.
to
pickup
play.
games and that. What I kind of envision, and this is just me spitballing, is on the fences and that would just be a sign saying this field is being used from blah, blah, blah for this activity. So then, if there is somebody that's playing it and you're supposed to be on that field for your practice, you can say, all right, you gotta move.
Yeah, I don't think that's his issue. I think what he's saying is there's people that are just coming to utilize the field to do a pickup game and concerned if there is another different sport that's going on at the same time. I think that's what you're.
I'm sorry.
Right. Right. Other than that, we hope it goes through, and thank you guys for having us tonight.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Felix. We live in 900 online. We live over here almost for 20 years. I had a question for you guys about the fields. We run like a club over here in the harbor. I don't know if you hear Harbor FC. We have 4 teams over here. And then I think almost 2 years ago, we practiced on the Milky Way. One of you guys, you say you have to move from over here. We try to find like a place where we practice. If we say a school over here is 350, they give me a chance to practice on Crosby. We practice in there for a long time in there. Hey, my question for you guys, I can practice in there or not? So, or why exactly you was trying to make it those fields for the community or like a?
Oh, these fields are for the community.
Okay, because the question is, I mean, be honest, on the club are running, we not charge any fees. Like if we travel, like say far away. I mean, for different place. And be honest, we not charge anything for the for me. Like say, I don't make any money. We done my time. And then some parents over here, I mean, we charge only whatever fees is only for, say, they have to pay the league, refs. Because right now we play in Rockford. Our home is in Rockford right now because we wouldn't have fields over here. So we try to, I mean, use it like you guys, in Harvard, Mickle Way. Some of you guys say you can't play over here.
So I think moving forward, if this project goes through and is approved and happens, then the use of the fields will have to be scheduled through the city's recreation department. And it would be open as a first come, first serve to whatever clubs wanted to use them. So it's going to be very important for all of those user groups to communicate with the city's Parks and Recreation Department to schedule the use of those fields. So it's really going to fall down on Parks and Rec to help manage who's using the field when. And so those groups that want to utilize them are going to have to ensure that they are communicating with our Parks and Rec Department, and whatever the criteria is for reserving the field, all that will have to be determined, because obviously if we do create this, there is, the fields are going to be a much higher level of quality than they are today. Today, they're just basically a farm field that we threw grass on and they paint the lines. So for those groups that want to utilize them, they'll be scheduled through the Parks and Rec to be able to have reservation for those fields, and there'll be what I would assume appropriate fees to help maintain those fields supported by those groups using those fields.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, I think we help only because I say, so be honest, the first time we know, you guys try to make up fields over here because I say, like I'm saying, we live a long time here. We never hear anything but that. But that's what I'm thinking. So right now, I say, so are you trying to make a field for adults or like for kids?
So trying to make fields for all age groups, right? So from
because right now I know it's only run like like leagues of adults, I think, on Sundays.
Yeah, there's an adult league that utilizes this area over here, because I don't think anything's past this, but I think they have a couple of fields here. But there's also youth leagues that are using those fields too. And each of those leagues has set up those particular, they paint the fields and set up where they want the fields to go. If this plan goes forward, then the city essentially is taking ownership of the fields, and so everything is going to have to go through the city's park and rec. Right now, it's kind of ad hoc because it's an open space that we have created a field, or I should say the user groups have created fields, and the purpose of that area was for them to create a field, but the city doesn't maintain it other than mowing it.
Well, I think it's probably, I get it there. But for me, I feel like it doesn't make any sense. Like right now you have, they're around league over here. But only I saw, to be honest, like when I said so far in there, I feel like it's not good for the community because I saw sometimes, because sometimes there'll be stuff in there. I saw they drink like in beers, like on the park. They fight sometimes in there. I think this is not good for the community. I don't know if you hear anything with that, but I think it.
And we do hear about that, and that league has been warned. So if it continues, like we've already had, we've asked that league, the players who are like getting into fights, have been banned from that league. They're not allowed to return. And if it happens again, then that league is required to have to pay to have their own have security on site, so that it can stop it.
So, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Aaron Krukenberg, 2919 Prankio Lane. I think this is great. I also am on the soccer board with Matt. And I think that one of the really good things is that we, as the Harvard Junior Hornets, catch a lot of slack for that misunderstanding. Our organization lines and, takes care of the nets, the goals, all of that. You go out there any weeknight, and there are 50 kids that are not even in our soccer league that are playing. We currently have about 200 kids, 14 under, rostered on our rec league. And for us, I think as a community, that's something really important to continue to have. Our goal is to offer something that is low cost and gets kids out and active. And our only concern would be if this is only going to be viewed as a moneymaker, tournament teams and, those traveling teams, and we have to fight for that spot on that field, we'll lose kids, and then they don't have that activity, which is something I know growing up here that everyone needed something for the kids to do. And so now we have, 10 different teams about probably. And so to take away or have to come first serve for that, I think the difference between a rec league, which I would assume the Parks and Recreation would put high up on their list, would maybe have precedent over those traveling teams or the tournaments coming in. So that would be all I have to say, but I really hope this goes through because, we maintain those goals, and I know when we locked them up in the fall, people were mad. Why? Well, that's a cost coming out of our pockets, and absolutely, let's give the community a place to go, but maybe not off of us. So thank you.
And Aaron, for what it's worth, I would favor each year having the leagues, our local leagues, being able to just book, their schedule and just take that off.
For the record, that'd be my expectation too. The not-for-profit rec leagues that are currently exist in the city has no desire to displace those leagues or to create internal city leagues. But there are times that the fields are available or not being utilized that we could accommodate other leagues, whether they're travel or outside.
Part of this too, if you notice, is instead of, because we don't have clear fields, people are drawing their lines where they can. Here, you would have designated actual field space. So that helps us on our end better organize. The only thing that would probably take precedent if the city is putting on a tournament. And I only say that because, as you've probably already heard, we're trying to do a tournament in July. But that would be the city taking precedent for that one weekend, and then it would go back to the norm. Just like if your league is going to put on a tournament, that would take precedent over anybody else trying to use those fields during that time. So it'd be a balancing act, but I'm pretty confident our new superintendent can make it work.
I have to ask, is there room underneath that football field for another football field?
No, where the
Underneath.
baseball,
Where that baseball
is.
field is. You pull that baseball field out and you just run another football soccer field right there. And then you take that baseball field and you move it to the right. So you have a softball field, a baseball field.
We could look into that, but I think we'd have to shift the current illustrated football field up to get another one to the south.
Right. I think that'd be a little too tight a fit, just from casual view.
Yeah, I'd have to see.
Either that or leave the green space. So a couple issues I'll bring up is we already have Moose Field for baseball. We have 2 fields there. Jackie's not here, unfortunately, because I was going to ask how many fields that they use. The Sting softball. Do we know? Did they just use one? I think they were just using one, and they were actually maintaining the one that goes away on the left upper. Right. Right. That's the field that they were using, and Michaela Froelich's father was maintaining that for them. My point being, if one softball field, one baseball field, and then more open field for, like Bob said, for practice or whatever on that south end, and just leave that as open, and just mow it so it could be either just a practice area, or maybe we put a shelter there up in that corner, like where you designated a shelter. We just put a larger shelter right there. That's a possibility as well. I don't know. Those are just thoughts I'm throwing out.
And I think there's already enough room over here to have smaller practice fields. It may not be the full width, but at least it's maybe 50-yard worth instead of a full field.
Right.
So that's enough to run practices on. Again, that's here. There's also, again, space here as well.
Right.
And really, if you were just trying to sandwich as much in, you could technically do a small field here, or to designate.
I would just leave it open. I mean, I think it's a wonderful plan, but I don't think $600,000 gets us anywhere near finishing that entire area, especially when you're considering adding all that parking in, because you got to build a base and then you got to put the park. I mean, John knows more than I do, what that would cost.
Right. But that's why having a full plan and then going and saying, all right, for the first phase, we'll do here.
Yeah.
For the next phase, we'll do maybe just this space, and then coming back, say a third phase. And again, it all depends on crunching the numbers for construction. It's just to be able to say, look, to the OSLAG people, this is our plan. This is, in the end, what we'll finish with.
Right.
Okay, and that's after it's gone through the process, gotten community feedback, this committee's feedback, and then council's final decision. So in the end, I mean, this can still change between now and August. At the time it will actually be end of July when it goes in front of the council. But the idea is we're not going to be able to knock it out with one. It'll probably be 2, 3, possibly even 4 OSLAG grants to get it done if we go that route. And one note I did want to make as far as the OSLAG, considering our, because it's federal dollars, they figure in your low to moderate income for that last 10%. So there is a chance, not a guarantee, But there is a chance that that 60,000 that the city would have to come up with could also still be included as part of the $600,000. It's not a great chance, but there's still a chance.
And do we have an idea of how this would be phased in? I mean, this section, do we have an idea of how the pieces go together yet, or no?
No, I haven't gone down that road yet. I mean, there's two aspects that we want to look at when we do something like that. First is obviously the implementation, but second, and I think it's more important, is how attractive we can make that package to the OSLAD people. Remember, like I said, back in 2022, when you submitted, it was just for 3 adult soccer fields and a vague indication that the trail was going to connect. And you weren't addressing all the age groups. You weren't ticking all the boxes, so to speak, for what the OSLAD people. So when they graded you, your grade was quite low compared to everyone you're competing against. So yeah, we can look at the whole package, start breaking it out, what the costs for development are. Let's be honest, that if you built it all today, it's going to be cheaper than if you built it all 10 years from now. Nothing ever gets cheaper, right? So we have to balance that combination of like, we could package this up into these pieces for this amount of money. That's the best possible chance of getting that funding. And we've always got to look at it that way. It's fortunate, but that's how the game is played.
And if we're looking at potentially 3 to 6 years before this is completely done, just this portion, keep in mind, if staff has done our job right, maybe we've chipped out a little bit of money out of the budget to be able to also take care of a few pieces along the way. Again, not a guarantee, but it's something that, at least on the Parks and Rec side, we can gun for.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose de la Paz. I'm from the Men's Harbor Soccer League. One of my concerns, seeing all these amenities being added to the park, is safety. Going back to with what Bob was saying earlier and Matt was saying earlier, I do recommend putting some nets up around the fields because we have pathways going through the fields. We have fields in close proximity. We have cars that will most likely be close to the fields as well. And the last thing I want to go through or see any other organization go through, it's go through a trial because somebody got hurt with the ball. That's just my only thing. I would really love for this to go through. I would love to see more vegetation as well through the walking area, if that's a possibility. That's it. Thank you.
Two things I was thinking about as I was looking at this. Has there been anything talked about watering the fields? Irrigation? Okay, so we're throwing out a number right now of 600,000. What is that for at this point?
The 600,000 is the maximum that we can get in a grant from OSLAD.
Okay.
So we can only do, if we got the full 600,000, we can only do $600,000 worth of work.
So has there been any kind of estimate budget done on what, being in construction, what I see has to be done first more than anything is the roads, the driveways, the irrigation. Yeah, the infrastructure. Has there been a number put together?
We're not going to go down that path. Everyone agrees that this is what we want.
Well,
I mean, we could,
the guesstimate is north of 1.5.
So that's just.
That's a guesstimate.
Numbers coming just.
Correct, and things can change.
Okay.
You know, if we remove a field, that takes a little more cost out. If we have to tweak something because of a new standard that came out, like ADA regulations, that could add more cost.
I see the fields being probably the lowest, the most minimal expense.
well, it depends.
Because of the, okay.
I mean, I've worked for communities that have taken like those 3 adult league fields or balls either, and they will make one what they call the premier field. The other 2 aren't irrigated. One of them is. It's cut daily. A little bit of step up.
So 1.5, that's sort of,
Yeah, like, in fact, when I was thinking about the cost, one of the things that the mayor indicated right now, there are former farm fields that were grass. But I think if we were looking for funding, we'd do a renovation of all the.
we have to watch out for the field stones that eventually work their way up down the line.
I've done this before.
And 13-line ground
They
squirrels.
keep coming up. Yeah, there's a couple things, and the concern with people having their time on the field. I think that the field office is kind of a critical.
I think what we're talking about is both security and program. But tonight, we're just talking about what's going to occur there, how we can be most effective.
So far, so good.
Were there any other comments? Anyone else wish to make a comment or question?
Good evening. Name's Kevin Bruce, 1209 3rd Street, Harvard. Just a couple questions. Phase 1, we were talking, I believe it was, you were saying 500,000 was the projected grant on that?
Cost line is 600.
600? Grant. And then from the local funding for Phase 1 would be what portion? Or what amount or estimate?
The way the grant is set up, in a normal situation, it's a 50-50 grant. 600 is the most you can ask for, so what you would have to pony up would be 300. We're not in the situation such as an Arlington Heights. We have special circumstances that allow us to ask for 90-10. So the community would only have to come up with 10% of that 600. Get a full 540 given back to the state.
Okay.
For reimbursement after.
Okay. And then for Phase 2, that's too far out to put a,
That's what I said, we're probably looking at 2026 for phase 2. To begin the same process we're at.
Phase 2. And then,
It's likely that that if this is all approved, it won't be fully completed before 2030.
okay, so
By the
that,
time you do all the different phases.
Right.
so 2030 would be the timeline. It would be, you'd like to improve on that, obviously, but it is what it is, right? So, okay.
Well, and keep in mind too, that also means that as far as the city's budgeting,
Yep.
we can plan for that. If we know it's gonna take, say, hypothetically, 3 Oslans, and that's about, worst case scenario, we have to kick in 60,000. Well, if it's gonna be another 6 years until it's completely done, that gives us time to put money aside each year, so that it's not a strain on the budget.
Speaking of the budget for that, how does that work with the cost, this additional cost coming in? Would it be, for this whole project anyway, approval, would it be something within the budget right now that's money set aside, or would it be like something where a referendum would have to happen, would it be approved by the,
At the moment, there's no consideration for increasing taxes to pay for this at the moment.
One side note would be on the ball fields. Would those be just strictly for hardball playing, or would they also be applicable for softball as well? Okay. So that would be, once again, it would be people who want to utilize it would need to say we're interested in using it, can we work out and get a time slot type
So-
thing?
Currently, how it works, if it's just a group of people that want to play ball,
Yeah.
and there's nobody using it, they can just go out there and play ball. If there is a organization that is using it for tournaments or for their normal league play, they should have already reserved that field with the city's Parks and Recreation Department. And so if they come out there and they find someone else has a game already in progress, then they can kick them off the field because it's been reserved. The only way you can keep the field is to have it reserved. Otherwise, it's open play for anyone who wants to use it in the current form.
Okay. As far as the, obviously the fields would be turf based, and they would have to be manually lined all the time on a frequent basis. As far as the the maintenance of being able to use the soccer fields, or they'd have to go out and have I don't know, lime laid down or spray painted on the turf itself for showing that the boundaries and things, or how would that work?
That's correct. We're not seeking to do a turf field, artificial turf field.
But my point is, and then obviously with the pickleball courts and the half courts for the basketball, those would be more like all surface type of.
They'd be the appropriate surface material for those particular sports.
Okay,
so whether it's clay or asphalt, or I'm not sure what. I don't think we've dove into the details of what the material construction
I'm just,
will be.
what I'm trying to get to is the ongoing, just the maintenance cost on it, as far as having somebody go out for, whether it be Parks and Recreation, to be able to have that in their budget, to have somebody out there to devote time to take care of that and maintain that.
And indeed, so the Parks and Recreation Department would need a budget appropriately for that maintenance. For instance, the current pickleball court was last year painted as part of the normal budgeting process for that department.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
Are there bathrooms by the playground?
There's bathrooms here, and the current bathroom here,
And those would stay?
and then the new bathroom would be here.
So, Bob, those would always be open? Because isn't that building the concession building?
It is partly concession and partly bathrooms, yes.
And so they would always be open?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Currently, they are not always open.
Right.
All of the various sporting leagues are given a key to open them when they're there. It's not something that it could be open in the future, but the current policy is that they are not. So, because the current playground is here, where the parking lot is.
Okay.
And these bathrooms are always open.
And part of that reason too is that the pools the bathrooms are typically shut down overnight, especially because of vandalism issues.
Yeah, I was just thinking to be at the playground where you'd have to go to use the restroom, so you'd have to cross the parking lot.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that would be a policy consideration then, to have those open all the time should this go forward.
Sounds good.
Anyone else?
So one of the things that I would like to also point out is that over the years, there's been several organizations that have donated pieces of equipment. I know Milk Days Foundation has put up on the north side several pieces of infrastructure. The Youth Tackle has put up that concession stand that was just discussed. Is a concession, bathroom, and storage area that they put in years ago. All of this that we're trying to do too is to be mindful and utilize that, not just simply knock it over and replace it. The overall goal is to try to make Milky Way Park more useful to everybody in the community.
Chairman, so we started, Rosa ran the hearing. If there are no more comments, then the next step in the process would be to close the hearing, so you'll need a motion to close. And
Okay, can I
then-
get a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a I'll second.
I write slow.
Scott moved, I second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Right.
Hearing is closed.
Meeting is closed, the hearing is closed, all right.
All right, moving on.
One of the things I wanted to mention, though, is if after this meeting you do have some other concerns or questions, please bring them to my office. And I'm happy to share them with Doug and the rest of the committee.
Thank you.
I'm a slow writer and everybody's moving quick.
Thank you all for coming out tonight and giving
Hour
your
and
input.
20 minutes later.
Hey, John.
I didn't sign in. Oh, okay, I see.
Thank you, Gary.
Am I supposed to?
Yeah, just leave it there, up.
Yeah. Then they, count you on the list. That's why you wear jackets. I should know better.
Okay, moving on. You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up to item 4.
To item 5?
4.
Oh, we're on 4, okay. Item 4,
That's for your discussion amongst.
discussion of the Milky Way Park concept plan. Anybody got anything to say?
I think it's all been said.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big issue is going to be the cost of maintenance, annual maintenance. I mean, because
agree.
that's not covered by grants.
I agree.
Correct, and that's something that as we get to a final plan, we'll be able to better project out. And keep in mind, a lot of our maintenance is on a rotational basis anyway. One of the suggestions right off the bat was, say, fields 2 and 3 from the adult size soccer fields are used, and the third one is rested for the year. And it's a matter of just, again, part of it is organizing. The other part is,
Programming.
what's that?
Programming.
Is programming. And then keep in mind, too, that we're trying to expand our rec programs as well, which can bring in some additional funds that we haven't had in the past. And then, as the mayor kind of indicated as well, it may be that some of these leagues get a nominal fee to help offset some of the additional costs. Nominal being as low as we can go with, as low as we can go without breaking anybody's bank.
One of the things I kind of noticed about this is most of the recreation that we have on here is more or less timeless. And by that I mean, soccer, basketball, baseball, football.
They're going to be
Pickleball.
around longer than we
They've
are.
been around, well, they've been around for a long time, all right? But pickleball, that's kind of new. I guess the skate park is the thing that kind of bothers me, is that seems like skating is kind of going down, maybe? Seems to me, anyway.
Well, I would just mention that every survey we've had about parks, people have asked for a skate.
all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Every survey.
Now, whether
says
any
that.
of them would actually use it,
I don't think I've ever seen anybody on a skateboard in our town. Scooter,
Could be that,
the argument
could be
is
that
that-
they don't have any place to go.
might be the roads.
Oh, they
Could be.
find places. If they want a skateboard,
and you do see them down Air Street where they're not supposed to be.
I would question whether this is the right place for that. This park. I would say, why not Northfield? Why not? Simply because this is a rec park, and that would be my question. And I know this is something that would be over $100,000 to build.
Just a skate park.
Just a skate park.
Right.
So, and that's a ton of money
To do
that,
it right.
I would actually also recommend that we not have basketball courts here either. I would say that the basketball courts.
There's already a basketball
Yeah,
court,
the problem is
they're up at the corner.
but it's not used because it's in the
Well,
parking
it
lot.
is used, but we get constant complaints because it's essentially a minefield out there of debris. And by the way, it was the organizations themselves that mentioned the basketball courts. So going with a half court, I can see the skate
So
park.
then
I go-
then let's not build the basketball courts in Northfield Court and tell the Parks Department not to
you
do,
can
or
have
tell
more than-
Parks Foundation.
Jay, you can have basketball courts in more than one park.
Everything we add, we have to maintain.
Correct.
And as the previous chairman of this committee for 7 years, we struggled with maintaining everything. So I'm just warning that everything we add, we have to maintain, and that's additional cost we have to incur into this department. That's all I'm saying. So I'm trying to just restrain that.
Yeah, but at the same time, we need to offer more recreation activities for the kids because there's not a lot.
Sure, no, absolutely.
And I know we're gonna go through, more expenses anyway with this or that, but this is a good thing to do for them. This
And
is
keep
good.
I'm sorry to jump in there, but keep in mind, we've tried twice before. One halfway tried. The other we actually did try to get an OSLAC grant to add more features to Milky Way Park. Even then, it was understood, I would assume, that would add more expense. So why did we try in the past if we knew it was still going to add more expense? And when you did apply for a 2010 OSLAD, it was to build out the rest of it to be featured, and we've done nothing.
Agreed.
And I think the skate board, we maybe should put it somewhere else.
And that's possible.
We should think about that. This is just, the beginning of this.
That's your discretion.
In regards to the skate park, I know that at one point they had talked with, I think, the Lions Club, back when there was actually a Lions Club here in Harvard. I don't know when that was, but one of the ladies that I worked with during early elections mentioned that they had come to the city of Harvard and offered to give us a skate park over there by the Library Hill. So I don't know if there is any process whatsoever to see anything in regards to that.
Well, there's no longer a Lions group here, so that's probably a no-go.
Okay, but I
Don't
mean,
know anything about their offer to do a skate park. Must have been before my time.
But I mean, like, maybe where they were planning it before might be a
yeah.
good place,
There-
because that's further in the town and it's further where more kids can go do that stuff. Because otherwise, I've seen kids use skateboards right by my street, and it's just a long hill down, and, they'll do it wherever, like
Yeah,
Lisa said.
I mean,
It would be nice to have it somewhere where they can actually be constructive, and I know other communities have
Well, and
festivals where they do that kind of stuff. Like I know South Elgin did something last year where they put up like things where people could paint, and they like set up a little mini like skating area and stuff.
And one advantage to doing something like that, the skate park at either Lyons or Northfield, is those are areas that are a lot easier for young people to get to without a car.
Right.
Milky Way, unless you live in this neighborhood just to the east, you're driving there. And 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds don't drive. At least not yet.
well, and that's my, initial concern with all of this is that it's great to have a plan for a park, one of our parks, but we really need to look at our whole park system and
But,
what our plan is for that. And I
I-
realize we're not going to do that before this OSLAD grant, but trying to cram everything into one park may not be realistic.
That's also the biggest part.
But these are features, most of these, except for pickleball and the skate park, are already there. You're just enhancing it.
Yeah, except they're not really there because we have teams going out there and putting in their own
They're there because,
equipment.
yes, because,
mean-
because the city has not created it as a designated
Right.
permanent location, other than the fact that it is de facto the permanent
Yeah,
location.
yeah, and so people
So-
play there.
Yes.
But we're not,
So
Provide
I just want to
other
make
than
this
mowing.
comment that you can put more amenities in other parks. And the fact that we're looking to do amenities in this park does not mean we won't do amenities in other parks. You have the complete discretion to look at each park and figure out what you want in each of those parks. I'm very passionate about this issue because I joined and got involved in city government to try and create better park system and better programs for our city. And in the 8 years that I've been involved, we've done very little to enhance the parks programming and parks equipment and fields for our community. We've done a lot under this board in terms of updating the maintenance, which was way, way behind. We've added a few amenities. We've enhanced some of the things that we already have, but we have not added new things in the whole time that I've been involved in the city, in any park.
Dog
And
park.
so you did not do that. The foundation did that.
Well, but
This
the foundation
board-
wouldn't do it without the
this
approval of this
board
board.
has not added any new amenities.
Playground at
to any of the-
Northfield Court. Yes, the playground's brand new.
You're right. We did.
Well, I'm just trying, Mike,
So
I'm trying
I-
not to discount what has been done. This board was put in a horrible situation by the way that it was managed, way, way, way past.
I agree with you. And
Things
and-
weren't being maintained, and our priority was, we've got to maintain these things and make them usable for our public. Before, and I absolutely understand your passion, and I agree with you. But I'm just pointing out that there wasn't much of a choice.
You're right. I will also say that previous administration, the parks were the bottom of the barrel for all departments, and was not the department that got what it really needed. And so, as a way to try and resolve some of that issue, we went out for referendum to try and create a dedicated revenue stream to the Parks Department so that they had more money to play with, which did happen. It's not as much as I would have liked to have had to go into the parks, but it certainly has helped. And in fact, over that time, since that's been happening, our maintenance levels have greatly increased. We've taken better care of our parks. We've gotten rid of bad trees. We have added a few things. We updated the concession stands. We updated, with the help of volunteers, the dugouts for the Hers fields. We removed really bad equipment in Lions Park that was suspect and damaged and needed to be replaced. I mean, we've done a lot of things in terms of maintenance, in trying to bring the park maintenance up, but we really have not done things to create new spaces and new fields. And so we're trying to create a better direction for our Parks and Rec department. We've separated some of the duties amongst the people that are employees to provide more focus in certain areas. You have a group that's doing maintenance. You're going to have a group that's going to be doing programming. You have a group that's just working at the pool. And so that helps create better focus in each of these areas. And of course, this OSLAD grant has been something that we've been trying to apply for at least for the last 4 years, in my estimation. We did apply a couple of times, and last year we did not apply. But when we looked at why we didn't get it from the last time that we did apply, we engaged CBB to help us understand why we're not competitive. Well, we're not competitive for all of these reasons, and that's why, in order to apply for the OSLAD grant, we engaged them to ask them to create this plan. Now, the plan is still that. It is just a plan, and it's in its infancy because the board needs to give its input and make the final decisions before it goes to council to decide what you want that plan to look like. But from the city's administration and from the mayor's office, we wanted to try and ensure that this plan for this park was as robust as possible, and it accommodate all age groups with lots of different activities for those groups. And then that's our presentation. We've engaged the various sporting activities and groups that utilize these fields. They've given their input to this, and almost all of them, I think actually all of them, were very much on board with this and are going to be giving you letters of support for the plan. In the end, whatever happens is up to this body to determine, to make your recommendations to the full city council, and the full city council can decide what they want in this plan for us to go forward to the OSLAD grant. I'm just want to make sure that listeners and this board and the full city council recognizes that the focus isn't just on this park. It's actually on our entire park system. And I was very proud of the fact when we sat down in 2016 to create a master parks plan, although the parks board hasn't been very conducive in using that plan, but it's now pretty long in the tooth. So it's worth going back through and revamping that plan. And my expectation is we will be doing that in the coming year for this body to go through and redo the master parks plan for the new future of Harvard, and hopefully incorporate what you've already done or will have approved for the Milky Way Park.
First of all, Mayor, your passion is duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like this plan, okay? I don't use the parks a whole lot. I'm not a young person. I'm not going to be out there playing soccer. I might play pickleball. I've read about that. Looks possible. I also don't have any kids in the community here anymore. My biggest question right now is really more one of procedure. We applied for this OSLAD grant for $600,000. Is this the presentation that goes to that board, or is a part of this what goes to that grant committee?
So it's two parts. It's actually both. It'll be the final concept or the final plan, and then we're based on that final plan, what portion we think the OSLAD grant would cover.
Okay.
So it's so that they see, here's our overall goal.
Our
But
long-range goal,
we only,
and here's the short-range goal.
and so, yeah, here's phase one, here's
Okay.
phase two, and potentially phase three, which can also be adjusted when it's time to do phase two and phase three. It very well could go 4 phases before it's all done.
And Burke will continue to advise on what's the best way to get each phase
Correct.
of it done.
And keep in mind, the money that's already spent on Seabell or Burke, part of it was to do this design, do these presentations. Now, the next phase, and also to write the grant. The next we anticipate will be just the public hearing and the grant writing, because the plan's already been done, minus any tweaks because of new federal laws.
Okay.
Or changes in the city ordinances. Because there could be a new statute that comes out that requires, a hoverboard area. I don't know. I'm
Make that
using that
happen.
just to be dramatic, but there could be
Dude, it's like
changes because
almost
just in parking alone, there's been changes.
All right, so, again, this is a procedure question, and I'm talking theoretically. So if, for instance, this board approves this concept plan as is, and if the city council approves it as is, we take this, we send this to the grant committee, and as part of that, we determine that and with Burke's input, we determine that the best chance of getting the first grant is to go from the far east here to just past where the skate park is. Okay, so you've got 3, 4, maybe 5 soccer fields, the basketball courts, and the skate park. Okay, and we get the grant for that. How locked in are we to doing exactly what, in other words, I'm thinking the skate park. If during the process of doing it, we decide we want to change that skate park into something else similar with the similar footprint, can we, or would we then be locked into
There's a
it?
process.
Yeah,
With the
you're-
state, there's definitely a process.
You would have to do essentially an
change
amended,
something like that.
plan.
Okay.
Okay.
And
then
they're gonna make sure, I mean, just because I've dealt with these, they're gonna make sure that whatever your change is, that it's not having it's not gonna have changed their decision when
Okay.
they approved it. So if you say, okay, we're just gonna put in a pollinator garden instead of a skate park, they're gonna come back and they say,
Big difference.
that's a
Yeah.
big difference. If it's,
Okay.
you're gonna put in a water feature, a splash pad or something, then maybe they'd say, okay, well,
Maybe.
that's,
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
yeah.
Right.
But essentially, whatever plan you put in, that's the plan you need to stick to.
Right. Now, if you tweak phase 2 and phase 3, that's different, as long as it's tweaked before it's submitted.
Right.
And then also it goes with an explanation based on surveys, as long as you can support your argument.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for. They just don't
Okay.
want to, for the legal term, they don't want to feel like there was a bait and switch that happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if you, along the same lines that Lisa pointed out, let's say you submitted it with the skate park and then decided, you know what, a skate park is not what this community wanted and because of feedback or whatever, and you wanted to change it to a fitness area where they have like the different gym sets and all that, all concreted in, then that would probably be
That-
something that
yeah.
they would say, you know what, we probably would have approved it either way. And again, we have to justify any changes.
Yep. Gotcha.
Submittal's not, you said the city council would approve at the end of July, correct?
By the end of July would be our latest.
Latest. So this group has a couple more chances to review this before they go back and think and talk to people, because I think you don't want to make decisions today, in my opinion.
No, and it was never expected.
Yeah.
This was all about
And
discussion.
look, these guys, this is fantastic. This is a wonderful plan. I think they did a wonderful job, and I mean, I love it. It's just the money involved is, is a lot.
I think the kids would really like a skate park wherever it is, just we should make sure that there is one somewhere.
And again, it could be that a skate park would be better in Northfield or in Mary's Park or at Lions versus here. And that's again, this is where collecting the feedback. I mean, we had a lot of good suggestions already, even just as much as putting speed bumps in. It wasn't considered.
Yeah.
And then one concern was about security, which the council members, there's an opportunity about permitting processes and so on with broadband. But part of that deal is having fiber lined out there so we could add better security and Wi-Fi. So these are things that outside actions that we're doing can potentially merge with this. And then there's also, even if you decided to just have it spaced out for, say, an activities area, there's other organizations that, like a fitness area, there's other organizations out there that do offer grants in order to pay for those activities. And now that's more of a 50-50 or a 60-40 type grant, but it could be something that we include in here when we finally get to a plan that this area is going to be either a skate park or a fitness area. And that's what we pay, what the council ultimately is paying Doug to make those explanations.
Okay, can we move on?
You're chair.
I'd like to move on. Good discussion, though, good discussion. Let's move on to item number 5. Approve the closed session minutes of April 4th.
If you recall, this was the meeting where you did the interview process.
Move to approve the closed session meeting of April.
Second?
All's in favor?
Aye.
Do a roll call on that?
I don't think so.
Good.
All's opposed?
Thank you.
Motion is granted. Granted?
Yep.
Carries.
Or approved.
All right.
Carries.
All right. Let's move on to item number 6. Approve the minutes of our April 15th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second? Second?
Are you saying you're seconding, or are you asking for? a
I'm
second?
asking for a second. Sorry.
There are only three of us.
I'll second.
Oh. Right, so,
And one's already motioned, so.
someone's already motioned, okay.
I
All
just
in favor?
seconded it.
You just seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
We get our second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, the men's soccer league. What is this about?
So, similar to last year, the men's soccer league is requesting to be able to use Milky Way Park for their Sunday games. As was indicated, and something I was going to bring up, is we've had so far 2 incidences on 2 separate weekends. One was where a fan came out of the, a player headbutted one of the referees.
This is this year?
This is this year. During one of their pre-games, or pre-game matches. And so what ended up happening was that player was banned from the league. Now, the second incident was actually a fan that came out to roughhouse one of the refs. That fan has been charged, or arrested and charged. Now, because of those are the 2, and we've had something similar late last year when the league, the men's league started, the representatives from the league were told, it happens again, you need to hire security. Otherwise, you're done.
So they have 3 in total, the same league?
Well, they've already had
One
2, but
last
if
year?
it happened, they had 2 last year, late in the year, and then 2 already this season. And the representatives from the league were very quick to let me know when both of them happened. And again, I've addressed it as if it happens again, you either require security or you're done. And they would have to pay for the security.
We should be hiring a police officer.
And that's they would end up doing is they can hire their own security, or they can hire one of our officers that are off duty to also go and do it. That's really up to them. But the point is, they would have to pay for it. It wouldn't be coming out of the city tax dollars. And if it happens a third time, if it happens any more after that, then my suggestion would be you're done for the year.
This is just on Sundays, right?
This is only on Sundays.
Only on Sundays.
I think it was just a FYI.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was important for you all to know.
Moving on to item 8, fee waiver requests. We got the Harvard.
These are your basic fee waivers we've had in the past. Harvard Boys League, HERS League, and same as last year, the Men's Soccer League. We've received an insurance form and a verbal from the Men's Soccer League, but we have not received the actual form. One of the representatives said he was going to get it to me before this meeting, but apparently did not. So what, in this case, for the Men's Soccer League is, I'm asking for the committee to approve the fee waiver, subject to the final form being submitted.
I would move to approve the Harvard Boys League fee waiver.
Second it.
We got a motion to approve just the Harvard Boys League, and a second.
Are you going one by
Are
one?
we going one by one?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That should be.
That involves
Yep. So let's go Logan,
Yes.
Luna,
Yes.
Haderlein,
Yes.
Lavallee,
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Else.
Yes, you do.
Isn't it lovely?
Move to approve the HERS League fee waiver request pending receipt of form.
Oh, you want to do HERS League first?
That's the next one
Next
on the
on
line.
the,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, you're correct. You are correct.
I'll second it.
Motion got a second.
Okay, and this is only the way it was written. This is Lori's. Logan,
Yes.
Luna,
Yes.
Haderlein,
Yes.
Lavallee,
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I would move to approve the men's soccer league request with the pending receipt of the form, but also with the understanding or
The requirement.
the requirement that they be advised that if this starts going through, fee waivers at Milky Way Park may not be available in the future.
And they were made aware of it, yes.
Okay. I just include that in my motion.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I didn't write everything. Okay, motion and Haderlein seconds. Okay. Luna,
Yes.
Haderlein,
Yes.
Lavallee,
Yes.
Lancaster,
Yes.
and Logan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 4 L's.
And I'm Lisa, so
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
Lovely.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Lovely,
We're all-
Luna, Logan, Lancaster.
All right, all the fee
I've got
waiver
2 Ls.
requests pass. Let's move on to the mayor's report.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to let you know, our new superintendent is going to be on board June 3rd. She is already putting together a number of programs to expect to start introducing to the community the first week she comes on board. So looking forward to see new programming coming to the community. And appreciate your input for the Milky Way Park concept plan. I would like us to do plans for all the parks at some point in the future. But this one was kind of pushed forward because of the OSLAD. I'm giving you everything else that I had already just in some of my commentary. So that's all I have tonight.
Mayor,
Yeah.
could you let Stacy, right?
Yes.
Could you let her know that the foundation meets tomorrow at 5:30? I'm going to assume that the city is going to want her to sit on that board.
Yeah, there's expectation that will happen.
Okay,
yes.
if you would just let her know that we have a meeting tomorrow at 5:30, if she would like to attend.
Sure.
And introduce herself. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our interim.
Hopefully,
Interim parks,
second to
hopefully
last is
last-
the interim. Second to last report.
Reports, yes.
So, thanks again for everyone sitting in on the public hearing. I know it went quite long, but as you can tell, there were some good feedback and concerns, all of which over the next 2 months we hope to address. As mentioned before, we had 2 incidences with the men's soccer league, but I believe we've nipped that in the bud. And there's also pending results if it should persist. As I mentioned before, one of the things that's not in the report is before the council next week is a process for Surf Internet. And they're going to make their presentation, but one of the things that they're including in their package is that the parks will get a broadband connection put in at no charge to the city. And that would be, at that point, we could offer free Wi-Fi. And then the question about security is that we have a setup that right now is a bit antiquated. We would be able to put in better camera systems throughout the park and have a better feeder system directly to the police.
At all parks?
At all the parks. Now, that, of course, would be phased in as money is available.
If we can upgrade the broadband to the parks, would that increase the likelihood of being able to keep the restrooms open more? Assuming we would then be able to have a camera watching that can
Yeah,
actually
and keep
see
in mind, you
something.
can only have a camera in front of,
Yeah,
just,
No, I realize that.
no, it's more for our
possibility.
listeners than, But that is a possibility. That is a possibility, yes.
It still won't solve the problem in the winter, but yeah.
And then, what else before? And this also goes out to the general public. If you have any concerns or comments regarding the potential OSLAD grant application and the concept plan, please share that. There was a note I wanted to bring up. That's what it was. I did talk to the Moose Lodge, the Moose League, and although they wouldn't be directly impacted, they enjoyed the conversation and really liked what we're proposing. And this was 2 design concepts ago. And they, at last conversation, were submitting a letter of support in favor of this. Regarding the tournament field, they did like that idea as well, just to expand the opportunities here for the baseball leagues. That was something I didn't mention before, just taking this opportunity at this point. And that, I'm going to keep the rest of the night short.
So Lou,
Yes.
were you going to say something about this budget report from Deb?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I don't have a copy in front of me. So Deb did apologize that it was not in the original packet. She was hustling all day today. Actually, it's a separate, yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
So she submitted this today for your review, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't gone over it a whole lot myself. So if you can bear with me a second here.
Well, it's good news.
Yeah, overall.
Revenues up, expenses down.
Correct.
And reading this right, are we $72,000 in the good?
That is correct.
Where does that money go?
I can get an answer to you on that. The other thing too is just a note here about like Mary's Park. Mary's Park is complete. I believe the swings have been installed, but I can send an email later this week to confirm. And the pickup truck was sold as well. The pickup truck originally in auction only went for $23,700, which this committee and the council agreed set a minimum of $30,000. What ended up happening is Nunda Township was watching it very closely, and as soon as the bid stopped, had reached out to us right away. They had a meeting the very next night, and they got their board to agree at $30,000. So the minimum we wanted was at least 30. We got 30, and 28,700 and some odd change and went towards the OSLAD grant portion. So in other words, the rest of the money, the like $1,300 or $1,200 and change, went back into the money marketing fund.
Last year, Lou, it's not on your report, but I asked you about a month ago, and I know you're really busy, and I understand that, but I asked you about the gravel walking path in Park Point that we approved money for. I know Ryan was working on, and I know he was talking to Powell Gravel about it. My understanding is that was supposed to be completed by April 30th this year. Was that done?
No, it was not.
Okay.
So
that money was put back into the budget for us to use, right?
Right, and that money is actually set aside because it's still supposed to be going to that.
Okay.
And Rob is still working on completing that project. So some of these, because of having to take on additional duties, I've delegated more of this.
No, that's
some of these
fine.
projects out.
Yeah, I just wanted the status on it, so.
And
thank you.
just so you know, we still haven't. It's still on my radar to get the tennis courts out.
Yeah.
Was it Shadow Creek? Done.
Yeah,
I haven't forgot that either.
I went and looked at the dog park thing. They did a great job on that, so, yep, thank you.
Yeah, that turned out to be a very good project and saved the city quite a bit of money versus the original estimates.
And the
guys
city
enjoyed doing it.
And the city even though the foundation paid to put in the dog park, the city pays for the maintenance and is paying for any additional expenses related to that, correct?
And that is now,
Okay.
they paid for the initial construction,
and supplies, and once that was done, it was handed over as city property, and then the city maintains that.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Let's move on in new business.
Just as a follow-up to the mayor, as some of you may have noticed, Stacy was here. She did.
Hair's a different color now, so
Yeah.
I didn't recognize her at first.
And
As-
I suspect you better get used to that.
I think
I
so.
don't think it's gonna stay the same very
No.
often.
We've actually talked as a welcoming day, June 3rd, is that some of us will color our hair a little bit differently to make her feel a little more welcome.
Those who have hair.
I got a goatee.
I'll do it. It's got facial hair.
I got eyebrows too. Anyway, so one of the nice things is as the mayor pointed out, she actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you mind if I go ahead and start setting up activities?" And this was about 2 weeks ago. And I enjoy the fact that she's already hitting the pavement to try building up rec programs. And she also came out to the staff outing this past weekend and enjoyed hanging out with everybody and getting to know everybody. So she is already becoming one with the team.
Okay, new business. Okay, next meeting will be June 17th.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Come on, wait a minute.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whew.